Hi guys, in this video I am going to discuss about vectors and its operations in R language. Let us see. A vector is a basic data structure which plays an important role in R programming. So vector is a sequence of elements which shares the same data type or common data type. A vector supports logical, integer, double, character, complex or raw data type. The elements in a vector are also known as components. As we see, vector is classified into two parts, that is atomic vectors and lists. The main difference between the atomic vectors and a list are in atomic vectors the elements must be of same type, whereas in lists the elements must be of any type. Types of atomic vectors: integer vector, numeric vector, character vector, logical vector. If you create a vector using integer values, it is called integer vector. If you create a vector using numerical values, it is called numeric vector. If you create a vector using character values, it is called character vector. If you create a vector using logical values like true or false, it is called logical vector. How to create a vector? We use CF function to create a vector. This function returns or gives the output as one-dimensional array or a simple vector. This CF function is a generic function which combines the arguments. All the arguments in the CF function must be of common data type or same data type. Here is an example of creation of a vector. Here I created a vector named vec using CF function which takes arguments 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as arguments. These are integer values, so it is called integer vector. Here I am printing the vector named vec. It returns the output as one dimensional array as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as output. There are so many ways to create a vector using colon operator and sequence operator. Here I created a vector named A which using colon operator. In colon operator it specifies two things. One is start and other is the end. Here I started with 4 and ended with 10. So if we print A, we get the elements as output from 4 to 10. Creating a vector using sequence function. In sequence function, we take three arguments. First is start and the second is end. The third one is step. Here I created a AB vector in which I send start as 1 and end as 4 and increment or step by 0.5. If we print a vector AB, we get the output as 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5 as follows. Vector operations. There are various operations performed on the vector. We can access, add, multiply, divide, sort. We can find the length of a vector and we can remove a particular element in a vector and we can return the vector. These are the following operations. One is accessing the vector. Using index, we can access the vector. Combining the vectors. We can, using CF function, sending the two vectors as arguments, we can combine the vectors. Next, arithmetic operations. We can perform add, subtract, multiply, divide on two particular vectors. Changing an item in a particular position in a vector. We can change a value of a Here let us create a vector v1 with the CF function. Containing the values 1, 2, 3, 4. Let us print the vector v1. Here we are getting the output in a single line which is an one-dimensional array. We can create a vector using colon operator. So the syntax is starting with 1 colon ending with 10. If we print a vector v1, we get the elements in a sequence from 1 to 10. Here is the output. You can see. So create a vector using sequence function. Here I am going to create a vector using sequence function. First argument is 2, which is I want to start, and the last one is 10. So if we want to increment by some value, so we can put I want to increment it by every value by 0.6. So I want to print the vector v1. So it prints the vector from 2.0, 2.6, 3.2, 3.8 as follows. These are the ways to create a vector. So now I am going to access a particular element in a vector. Let us Let us access the element which is in the third place in vector 1 using the index v of 3. So we get the element 3.2. So it is in the third place. So we want to access the element in the 8th place. So we put 8, v of 8, we get the output as 6.2. So the element in the vector v1 is 6.2. So let us create a vector v1 with c of function which consists of more large values. Let us create another vector 25, 45, 46, 67 as follows. The next operation is combining the two vectors. Let us take another variable and using C of function we join two vectors v1 and v2 and we print the vector v. We get the output as follows: 22, 34, 56, 55, 24, 45, 56, 67. Here two vectors are joined together to form a single vector. Let us perform arithmetic operations. Let us perform addition operation. So I want to add a vector from vector v1 to v2. So I am performing the following operation. So I am getting the output. So the first element in the first vector gets added to the first element in the second vector as follows. Second element in the first vector gets added to the second element in the second vector as follows. So the addition is done as for the follows. So now we have to do the subtraction operation. Let us get v1 is v2 is subtracted from v2. v2 is subtracted from v1. So the first element in the first vector, the second element in the second vector is get separated from the v1 vector. The second element in the v2 vector is get subtracted from the second element in the v1 vector. The third element in the second vector gets subtracted from the third element in the v1 vector. So the subtraction is done as follows. In the same way, we can also perform multiplication operation. So the element in the first element in the first vector gets multiplied by first element in the second vector. The second element in the first vector gets multiplied by second element in the second vector. In the same way, the multiplication also as follows. So let us perform division operation. Here we get a values in which the first element in the first vector gets divided by the first element in the second vector. In the same way, the second element in the first vector gets divided by the second element in the second vector. So here each and every element gets divided by the first and second vectors. So let us perform modulo operation. Here we use double ampersand to perform modulo operation. So here the first element, the modulo operation between the first element, the first vector and the first element in the second vector returns the 22 because 22 is the least value. So in this way we can perform modulo operation. Let us perform assigning a value to particular position in a vector. Suppose we create a vector v2 using C of function. We take values 23, 45, 68, 56. So I want to replace the value at third position with 108. So I am using index of third to replace it with 108. So if I print the vector v2, the particular value with index gets replaced. So here we see 68 is replaced by 108. The other one is sorting the vector. Let us create a long vector v3 which consists of elements which are random elements 23, 46, 97, 46 as follows. So using sort function, we sort the particular value, particular vector. So here are the elements. Sort function returns the elements which are in a sorted order. 23, 32, 46, 46, which are duplicate elements, and 89, 97. So we can also find the length of vector using length function. Length of V3. So the length of the particular vector V3 is 6. So if we want to return a vector without particular value or with deleting the particular value, we use indexing and CF function. Suppose we want to delete 23, in V3s. So we use indexing minus C of 1. So this particular thing returns the vector elements without 23, as you see in 34, 56, 55, 24, 45, 56. So in this way, the elements except 23 gets returned. Thank you guys.